All right, have you ever stopped to think about how a divine ultimate being would actually talk to us? I mean, what if it wasn't through old books or messengers from the past? What if it was through something we see and feel every single day? Well, today we're jumping into a really cool text that turns that whole idea on its head.
So yeah, let's just ask it straight up. How does God communicate with us? The source we're looking at today has a pretty wild answer. And spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with the kind of scripture you're probably thinking of.
Okay, get this. According to this text, God's words are actually the laws of nature. Yep, we're talking about physics formulas, chemical equations, the basic principle of cause and effect. The idea here is that the entire universe, that's the divine message, and it's written in the language of science and math. Kind of cool, right? And here's where it gets really interesting. If the universe is the message, then who are the translators? Well, this text says they're the physicists, the chemists, the doctors, basically the scientists, the people who figure out how all this stuff works. They're the ones translating God's words for all of us. I mean, that's a completely different way to think about the role of science, isn't it? Okay, so if these universal laws are the message, what do they tell us about the one who sent it? Let's dive into the portrait of God that this text paints for us. The text uses some seriously powerful language to describe this divine force. Listen to this. It paints this picture of just ultimate authority. Not just a ruler, but like the very engine of reality, the source of all energy and existence. It's pretty epic. And this next part shows the other side of that coin. It's not just about this huge cosmic power. It's also described as something personal, a guiding force, like a spring in the desert or a beacon in the fog. So you've got this mix of massive scale and really personal support. But as you can imagine, a system like this isn't just about being there, it's also about consequences. Right. So if there are divine laws, it makes sense there'd be consequences for following them or for ignoring them. The text lays it out as two very different paths, and it all comes down to that simple, inescapable logic, cause and effect. So here you can see those two destinies laid out side by side. It's a pretty stark contrast. If you align yourself with the way, with these natural laws, you get peace and end to struggle. But if you ignore it, well, it leads to suffering. And the key phrase here is suffer the bitter fruits you have sown. This isn't some random punishment. It's presented as the direct, logical outcome of your own choices. All right, so if that's the big picture, the cosmic framework, how are we supposed to actually live in it? This next part breaks down those big ideas into a practical guide for how to act. The text is super clear about the kinds of things that go against this natural order. And it doesn't just call them sins. It describes them as viral bacteria that basically eat away at your spirit. I think that's a powerful image. Stuff like jealousy, arrogance, deceit. They don't just mess up your relationships, they throw off your own internal balance. So what's the solution? How do you get wisdom? Well, here's the constructive part. The path it lays out is all about humility. I mean, deep humility. It's about admitting you don't have all the answers, being brave enough to actually listen to people who know more than you, and, having the guts to face your own ignorance. That's framed as the absolute foundation for any real growth. I really like this next quote because it just gets right to the point. The goal isn't to chase power or fame or to make your life super complicated. It's about aiming for a life that's simple and ordinary, but rich with meaning. It's saying that who you are, your character, is way more valuable than your status. Okay, so all of this brings us to the big one, the ultimate question, right? What's the point of it all? In this framework, what are we as humans even here to do? And the answer is, well, it's pretty profound. The text says, your destiny is simply to be human. Don't try to escape it by chasing superpowers or trying to become a god. Nope. The real challenge, the whole point, is to fully and completely embrace being human and just focus on becoming a good person. And this last bit of wisdom really brings it all home. It's all about personal responsibility. It's like a partnership, Help is there for you, but only if you're helping yourself first. If you give up on yourself, you get abandoned. It's a huge call to action that puts the ball right back in your court. So we'll leave you with this to think about. What if we really took this idea seriously? That the laws of physics, the rules of biology, the simple fact of cause and effect, what if those are divine commands? How would that change the way you see the world? How would it change your relationship with science, with what's right and wrong,
even with the small choices you make every day. It's definitely a fascinating way to look at things.